Hey guys, welcome. Just want to give you an update on my build here I got going on. It's the Monogram 1/72 scale F-4 CD Phantom 2, and you can see that this boxing is from the 1980s TV show Tour of Duty, and I believe it's boxed in 1988, and the model is the F-4 Phantom flown by Steve Ritchie, who shot down 5 MiG-21s to become the only Air Force ace to do so. And that's what it looks like when it should be all built up. And I wanted to do a Phantom. I really like the Phantoms. I got to see a lot when I was growing up, and near an Air Force base, and I always thought they were pretty neat planes. They're big giant fighters. So that's why I was looking to do a Phantom, and plus I wanted to do one with the Southeast Asian camo scheme so I can practice my camo skills. So I picked this up pretty cheap on eBay. Let me show you what I've got started, or what I've done so far. I basically assembled the model, and get you a little bit closer. After doing some filling and sanding and then priming in Stynylrez gray, I had to go back and do some more sanding on the top. It wasn't quite even, and the seam line still showed, so I had to do that. And then once I've got it primered, I've went ahead and shot the wheelbase in white. The bottom is going to be camouflage gray. I'll use this Model Masters camouflage gray paint, which looks really nice. And it's I think it's the FS36022 or something like that. That goes in the bottom of Air Force planes. And the metallic part back here, that has been sprayed with, I can't find it real quick. It's Tamiya gunmetal, which has a X10, has a metallic sheen to it, which I always like that. So basically what I do is I primer it, I spray some of the areas that are going to be, just one certain color, and then I'll mask all those off before I start putting the camo on. The nose, and this particular model, the nose was molded in on both sides of the fuselage and came together like this. And so I've sprayed that in with semi-gloss black, and I'll just mask that off when I go to painting. I have the air intakes stuffed right now with wet paper towel, and okay, so really just getting ready for painting. And overall, it's been a fun kit. Being an older kit, there were some issues. The biggest issue I had was this right here, this starboard side air intake area. This piece that fits over, basically this piece right here that fits over the air intake did not fit well, and it was actually too short. It didn't come down and meet level with the wing, and where the other part of the bottom part of the wing glues on like that. And this actually was the bottom part was too short. It didn't meet up with that. So what I had to do, and I'll put a picture up as well to show you, but there was a pretty significant gap there. So what I had to do was basically just take a cut a piece of flat piece of the sprue, like this. I just found this on the sprue, and the little labels, tabs, and I just cut a piece off. Put it in between down in there to give it some, and just to give it some backing, and just shoot it full of super glue, sanded it, add some filler, and you can still see there's actually a little piece there that I think it broke off or something. So that's kind of the only flaw that I had right now with the kit. Of course, it is raised detail. So in the process of sanding the seam line here, I did lose some detail, and I'm not going to even try to rescribe anything because it's all raised detail anyway. And whenever I try to rescribe, it just looks worse than what it did before. So I'm not gonna even mess with that. So right now I'm just letting it everything cure up before I start masking the wheel wells off. I'm gonna basically fill it up with sticky tack, and then I'll spray the bottom, and I'll of course mask off the metallic area back here, and get all that covered up, get the nose cone covered up, and I'm ready to start painting with the bottom. I'll start with the bottom and then start doing the top, the camo scheme. The camo scheme, the Southeast Asia camo, is basically you have three different colors. And find the other one here. Let's see. Well, it's in there somewhere. You have a dark tan, medium green, and a dark green. And the tan color is what I'll spray first in the areas where it's going to be tan, and then mask that off and start putting the green camo schemes on. I've also left a lot of things on the sprue. Basically painted the inside of the gear doors white. Okay, and I'll do the other side of those the camouflage gray color. The kit you get 4 Sparrow missiles and 4 sidewinders, and I've got those base painted in white, and I'll paint the tips either gray or black and give it some life a little bit. I also have I do have some decals that I might try using from my other F-14 kit that I could, some little yellow or red stripes I could maybe wrap around those and get those a bit. The drop tanks have been primered. And the gun pod has been primered, so those are ready for the paint job. I have an ECM pod and a couple other things that go on the bottom, so it's going to look pretty nice when it gets loaded up on the bottom. Okay. It did come with some people, and being 172 scale people, it's pretty difficult to paint, but they're fun anyway. And got one seated pilot and one standing. Get a focus in there. And I'll probably, when I gloss coat the model later, I'll probably gloss these guys and maybe try adding a wash to it and see how they come out. Being an old kit, they weren't very detailed in the face, so I did the best I could. And okay. And I have a few pictures to put up for you, and you can see the cockpit in close detail and what I've been doing so far. But anyway, thank you. Take care. is my completed model, the 1/72nd scale F-4 Phantom by Monogram, and I'm pretty pleased the way it turned out. You know, it's an old kit. There were some issues that I had. Number one, I made the mistake of using the kit decals. They looked okay, but they were turned out they were very thick and glossy, and they just didn't want to go on very well. And I ended up getting, even though I gloss coated it really well, I did get some silvering and some spots. And but you know, you have to get up and look at it at different angles to see that. But I didn't pay a lot for the kit, and I didn't really want to invest a ton of money into it because I did know it was an old kit. I wanted a Phantom, but I also wanted to practice the Southeast Asia camo scheme before I'd buy a more expensive Phantom or a bigger one. So let me zoom you in here. And I put the cockpits or the canopies open. It did come with 2 crew figures, one seated. Believe me, 172 figures, you really need a magnifying glass, but he's sitting there, and the other figure is standing here, right here. Okay, we'll zoom him in a minute. I didn't do a lot of weathering on the kit. I just did a kind of a gray reddish wash on the bottom, and just to give it a little bit of a streaking effect, to show a little bit of discoloration from the wear and grime. Once I realized the decals weren't going to work very well, I kind of stopped putting a lot of effort into painting stripes on the missiles and things like that. I'll be honest with you, I kind of got to the point where I just wanted to get it done. Of course, being an old kit, there were some fit issues, as I pointed out earlier. This part right here on this side, this is not long enough to meet the wing part that glues on to the bottom of the fuselage. So you have to either fill it in with some plastic hard, or I used a piece of flat sprue from the kit and shoved it in there as a shim, and sanded and painted it and filled it. Another issue with the kit is the fit of the horizontal stabs. They don't fit well. They leave a pretty big gap. I ended up breaking them once when I put them on before I did any masking and painting, and I ended up breaking one loose, so I had to pull them back off and do a little plastic surgery on it, and they still have a gap. There's just not, you can still see that they're just not made very well. Okay, but other than that, I mean, for an old kit, I think everything went pretty well. It's all raised detail. It's not recessed. You will have a seam here, but of course, by sanding it, you lose pretty much any detail on top of that. Okay. And as I pointed out, this is at the time Captain, soon to become Brigadier General, Steve Ritchie. He shot down 5 MiG-21s, and this is the representation of his plane. And you can see the 5 stars representing Russian planes. Okay. But I used all Model Master acrylic paints, with the exception of with the exhaust nozzles in this area up under here. I used Tamiya gunmetal, which has a nice metallic tint to it. Okay. But you can see it comes with a pretty good set of missiles. At this time, this version of the Phantom had a cannon mounted. It wasn't built into the fuselage as it will on later versions of the Phantom. I always liked the Phantom. I think the Phantom and the Tomcat are my two favorite jets. I got to see a lot of Phantoms growing up, and they still flew a lot of them in the late 70s and 80s. Okay, get you a little bit closer. And there's the standing figure there. Focus. Can't get it to focus. Yep, he's not going to want to focus, so maybe we can do it this way. Focus, focus. Now, experiment futility. That ain't going to work, so sorry about that. The one thing nice about the kit is it really has a nice cockpit detail, and I will. I'm gonna have I'll have a few pictures up, and just after the end of the video. Why aren't you getting any focus here? That's why. There we go. Everything's out of the box. I didn't add any photo etch goodies or anything like that. Again, the cockpit detail was turned out to be pretty nice for a 72 kit, and won't be able to see in there, but I'll have a picture of the instrument panel and the cockpit in there as well at the end of the video. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you, and hope appreciate you watching, and any comments or suggestions are always appreciated. One thing I will say, this was again a model I wanted to practice and learn on. I actually painted it twice. The first time, when I unmasked it, I made a really dumb mistake with my sticky tack worms, and trying to correct it resulted in a lot of overspray and frustration. So I said heck with it, and I basically reprimed it and redid the camo, and excuse me. Okay, so I think it did okay. All right. You can see a little bit on the bottom there. All right, guys, thank you, appreciate it. Happy modeling, and take care. Bye-bye. You actually should be walking to the plane, because the electronics warfare officer is waiting.